So welcome guys again, and let's continue with M-PESA integration Node.js Express. In the previous tutorial, we had reached here where we had set up a Node.js server, a basic Node.js server, and then we were able to run the server using NodeMon, and we are able to visit the URL, that is localhost 3000, that is the port. And then after that we can get the text logged in our console that the application is running on port 3000. Now at this point I want us to be a bit detailed, so let's be a bit organized first. The first thing we have to do is let's install .env, and that is a module or package that is going to help us to get the environmental variables. And then we are also going to install Mongoose, because we are going to use MongoDB for the database of our Node.js Express application. Okay, so let's do it. So let's stop the server by doing Ctrl+C. And then npm I or npm install .env mongoose, like that. So as this continues to install, I want us to organize our project a bit. So I want to create a folder so that routes will be having their own folder, and then the controllers will be having their own folder directory. So let's do it. Create a folder in the root directory and call it routes, and inside there we are going to have M-PESA route. So let me just create a file and call it M-PESA.js, like that. Then after that, in the root directory again, let's create another folder and let's call it controllers. And inside here, let me create a file and I'll call it M-PESA controller.js using camel case. Okay, that is it. And then after these packages are installed, and so you can just again run the server. Okay, and let's do something fast so that we can let's go to the package.json, and instead of running NodeMon every time, let's just create a script here. So this script start is going to run NodeMon index.js. So instead of running every time we want to set our server to do NodeMon, we just do npm start and going to run our script. And as you can see, it is running NodeMon index.js and the application is running on that port. So after that, we have to separate. Let's go to the index.js. From index.js, we are going to import .in. So we'll do const. We'll just do require .env, whatever, however you will pronounce it, .config, like that. So, and then this port, we'll just remove that. We'll create a file called, the root directory, will create a file called .env that will store our environmental variables, and one will be port is equals to 3000, like that. So let's save. And then so after doing that, this port is going to be taken from that .env file. So let me just remove this so that I can confirm to you. So after removing that and saving, if I refresh again, if we and refresh again, okay, as you can see, it is saying that application is running on port undefined. It is not fetching the. Let this be up. Let us import this before getting the port. So let's save there. And as you can see, the application is running on port 3000. So this port 3000 is not coming from it, is coming from this environmental variable port here. Okay. So after doing that, as you can see, if we try accessing that route, it is still working. It is working because this route is still here. So let's just remove it, and you want to transfer this to the route. So we'll go to the routes here, and then you have M-PESA.js. So here the first thing we require express by doing const express is equals to require express. We are importing it because we want to use express router here. So const router is equals to express dot router. Remember, it is capital R, like that. Then now from there, now we can begin setting up route. So instead of up here, we'll just do router. So router, like that. So if we try to maybe refresh, there's nothing like going to happen. Let's refresh. Did we say we didn't save this one? But if we refresh, the page should be blank. Let's refresh, and there you go. It is because we have removed that route that was here. So we have taken that route here, and let's just export. So we just do module dot exports equals to router. So we are exporting that router so that we can use it. And that, if you are familiar with Node.js, you know what I'm doing. So that we can use it in index.js. So here we can now import it by doing const. Let me just call it M-PESA routes. M-PESA routes is equals to require. So we have to require the path to that file, which is as you can see, it is in routes and M-PESA, like that. And then after that, we can now use it. So we'll use it by doing app.use. So app.use M-PESA routes. So like that, if we do just that, we saved. If we go back and refresh, you can see it is now working. Okay. So if we want to put a prefix of API, for example, we are creating API. So if we want to use a prefix of API here, which is we just do like this. API. So this means that all the roots in the M-PESA files will have a prefix of API, will start with API like that. So if we do that and go back and refresh, you're going to get error. And as you can see, it is on this error. But if we just do slash API and hit enter, you can see we are able to access that because we put the prefix of API there. Okay. Yeah, so that is it with that. And then we can now set up, we can go to the controller, to the M-PESA controller, and then we can just do, let's just go to the controllers, and then M-PESA controller, we can just do const, you can just do that const home route. You can just do, let me just do const M-PESA password is equals to, and I'm using arrow function, request response, just do res.json. So just want to send the JSON data for the time being. They can just do status and then success, which should be, and then we can do message, let's do request sent successfully. So this is just for testing, right? Oh, what is this? So I just cut that and put into curly brace like that. So you're just sending an object, status access message request sent successfully, right? And then we have to export that. So just do module dot export, exports equals to, let me just do equals to M-PESA password like that. So after doing this, we are going to get this. We are going to use it in our routes. So every time we visit a certain route, we are going to call a certain controller to handle that request. So let's go back to our routes here, M-PESA.js, and we have to import that. So just do const, and then let's do an object M-PESA password. So why are we doing an object here, or why are we using destructuring syntax? So we are going to have many methods, so we are just going to do this one because there are many methods. We are going to have many methods in the M-PESA controller. So it is equals to require. So you have to require the path to that controller, which is controllers, and then M-PESA controller like that. And so here, like the same way we are doing in other frameworks like Laravel. So instead of, when we visit this route, instead of sending this, we'll just call a controller to handle that. And that controller is the M-PESA controller. So just do M-PESA password. So when somebody visit this or maybe password or get password, so this method you are going to use it to generate a password. So when somebody visits stock M-PESA password API stock password, we are going to use this controller M-PESA. We are going to call this method on M-PESA controller, and this method, as at now, what is this method doing? If we go to the controller, you find that as at now, this method is just sending the JSON object of status access and message request sent successfully. So let's go and test it. So let's just refresh, and you get an error there, right? But if we do API stroke password, is it running? Let us, maybe we have an error. And so we have an error here. Get requires a callback function but got an object. I don't know where the error is, but let's try to troubleshoot it. Still there is a problem. So let's try to do it this way in the M-PESA controller.js. So let's just try to do exports. I'll just try to do exports dot that is equals to that. So let's just try to do that and save and see. Okay, so and there you go. Now it is working. Now it is working, but let's go to the routes and M-PESA, and okay, yeah, it is not working now. So slash this one, it now returns this object that we did here. Okay, and it now returns that object that we did there. So what we are going to do is when testing the generation of password, we are going to do in the route in the M-PESA.js and do password. Let's just save that. If we refresh, it is now not going to work, but if we do API/password, it's going to return that object there. Okay, so that is it with maybe the doing some organization of our code. But then after that, I want us to talk about the database that we are going to use. We are going to use Mongoose, and we are going to use MongoDB. And MongoDB is an NoSQL database. Okay, so for us to, if you are not familiar with MongoDB, maybe you can just look at, you can just Google the documentation and read. But it is a very nice database. So the first thing will be the installation of that MongoDB if you have not installed it in your computer. And for you to do that, just go to the browser, your browser, and then search MongoDB community version like that. So you have the community version is the one that you download. This one here, just click on this MongoDB community download. You click on that link, and it is going to take you to this page. You can now download. If you are on Windows, you can download for Windows. If you are on Debian, Mac, or depending on the operating system you are using, you just hit on download, and it will start downloading. So as you can see, it has started downloading. Right. So I don't want to download because, but it is already downloaded. I think the internet is so fast. So that is after downloading this, we'll just use the normal process of installation, right? We just use the normal process of installation. For example, let me just open it. You accept terms and condition, and then you just hit and complete. Will be set up things, and I just use the default settings. Just use the default settings. Okay. Let me just cancel because I have it installed. Okay, now after that, now we come to how do we connect to it. And that is how now we have MongoDB. So just go to the .env and let's just call a set environmental variable called database or DB, and then we can just do DB equals to. So this is what to do, MongoDB like that, and then localhost, and then the name of the database. Okay. So if I want the database to be M-PESA, I just do /M-PESA. So this is the connection URL. So DB is equals to MongoDB like this, localhost, and then the name of the database. Okay. If this database does not exist, it's going to be created. Okay. So let me just call it M-PESA. It's like that. And after that, I'll save it. And then after that, you are going to go to index.js. That is the main file. And from here, we will import the MongoDB. So I'll do not MongoDB, Mongoose. So I'll do const Mongoose is equals to require, and then Mongoose require Mongoose like that. And then after that, we'll initialize that database. So we'll just do Mongoose dot connect. So yeah, it has a method called connect, and that method takes two parameters. The first one is the name of the database. So we created the database in the .env file, and we can use this by doing just process .env.db. So that is what we called it. So process.env.db is going to get that db value, and here is going to be an object with a few parameters. So the first one is the new URL parser, and set it to true. and then use create index and set it to true. So there are many parameters, you can look at it, but these are enough. Then after that, it is this is a promise. So it's a promise. So you can do dot then. So meaning that if this connected successfully, we can maybe console log something, or we can have a function that handles that or does something. So dot then console dot log connected successfully to the database. Okay, connected successfully to the database. And then you can catch error dot catch error. You just want to console log the error if any. Console dot log error. So if you are new to Node.js, this means that a promise is that is Mongoose is our helper to connect to MongoDB database. So you are calling this Mongoose as a function or a method called connect that helps the process of connecting to the MongoDB. So mongoose.connect, and then we are telling to connect, and the connection happens here. We are passing several parameters, and then you are doing that dot then. So if this works correctly, or if this goes on successfully, it is going to run this function. If we have error connecting here, it is going to throw this error. So it is going to get that error and then throw that error here. Okay, so that is the only thing we are required to do. So let's first check the console. There are a few errors, deprecation errors, but just ignore them for now. But as you can see, connected successfully to the database. So guys, that is it for this tutorial. And as you can see now, we've set up everything. And in the next tutorial, maybe we can now begin setting up. We can now begin writing code in our M-PESA controller here. Okay, so we'll begin writing code. For example, the code to generate the password, the code to generate our token, and then the SDK push code. All of them we are going to write in this controller. And after as we do that, we'll be setting up the routes in the routes.mpesa.js. So let's meet in the next section. Thank you so much. Please subscribe, like, and share.